Hey everyone, it's Stranger Grayson here. Welcome back to another horror movie review. As you all have probably heard from Michael, if not, I'll care to explain now. Me and Strange Michael, we are doing a collab finally. After so long, we've been discussing it, but we never really got the chance to up until last night. I officially announced it. I'm officially announcing it in this video. Couldn't do it last video because we weren't really fully decided yet, but now we are. So just in case y'all don't know, he's a really great guy. Does amazing reviews. He is a rambler. I will say that he is a rambler, but he states the facts. He shares his opinion, and I think you guys would really enjoy him. We are collaborating on the Friday the 13th franchise. He has done part 1. I'll leave a link to that, as well as his channel in the description below. But today, I'll be reviewing the next entry in the franchise. And it is one that I really thought I wouldn't enjoy all that much. But I have to say, this is definitely one of the better entries in the franchise. Definitely would watch this over the original. And that is Friday the 13th Part 2. Now, this film was made a year after the original came out. All these films were released within a year of each other. That may exclude Part 4 and I think Part 7 or 9. But this film, wow. Let me start off with the negatives. Let me start off with the story. The part 2 begins with cutting to Alice, who survived the original events of the first film after Mrs. Voorhees went on a killing spree and killed all the counselors. She is now suffering PTSD. She lives in a house by herself, still has nightmares about it. And she's dreaming about the past events when she ran into Mrs. Voorhees, when she discovered all the bodies. Eventually killing Mrs. Voorhees, decapitating her. And while this is going on, the camera pans to somebody outside her house. And of course, this is obviously the killer that is in this movie. And since Mrs. Voorhees is dead, you tend to wonder who is the villain now. You get to probably understand very early on who the killer is. It's Jason. Yeah. Since Mrs. Voorhees is dead, Jason is now a fully grown man, and he is spying on Alice. She's just woken up from a nightmare, takes a shower, everything, and while she's in the kitchen, her cat scares her. She opens her refrigerator, and she finds Mrs. Voorhees' head in the fridge, and of course at that point Jason comes behind and kills her. Puts an ice pick in her back of her, or in the side of her head. And that is how they killed off the main character of the original. I'll get into the reasons why it was so abrupt and why they killed her so quickly. However, we then cut to a couple weeks later, or a couple months later, and we get introduced to some new camp counselors. Terry, and his girlfriend. They're at a payphone trying to get the location to where they need to go, trying to remember, how to get to the camp that they're supposed to go to. However, while they're talking on the phone about a camp, they run into Crazy Ralph, who does reappear in this movie for 20 minutes. You'll see why once you watch the film. I won't explain why. And he tells them that the others didn't believe me. I tried to warn them. You're all doomed just like they are. And he takes off on his bicycle. And that is most of what we get out of Crazy Ralph, except 2 other scenes. But it is nice to see him back again, even though he was kind of annoying in the first film, I gotta be honest. It is good to see him back. Him and Alice were the only 2 that returned from the original, since they were the only ones left. But anyway, they eventually get to the camp. They run into their friend Ted on the way. The camp is called Packanack Lodge. And they're there to do some training for all the counselors and get ready for the summer, of course. While they're on the road there, they come across a Crystal Lake sign and they realize that they are sharing the same lake that Crystal Lake is on. So they go to the camp. Everything starts going on. We also get introduced to the head counselor, Paul, as well as his girlfriend, Jenny. Jenny. Sorry. And we get to introduce to a few others like Scott, Mark, couple other girls, and then the rest of the counselors, they're like side characters. They go over the whole thing of what they have to do. They talk about the Jason legend, and little do they know that they actually have somebody stalking them, and they eventually will get picked off one by one. Friday the 13th Part 2 was definitely a step up from the original. You can tell the budget's a lot better, while the acting is still probably not as good as these later entries. It did get a tad better. I think Amy Steele did an amazing job as Jenny. It's a shame she couldn't come back for Part 3, but I think she did a really good job as Jenny. The killer and Jason, how he stalks. I definitely think who played Jason in this film did a really amazing job. What Jason looks like, he does not appear like he normally would in the later films. You definitely could tell. I'm not going to say what he looks like. I've already spoiled who the killer is. I'm sorry, guys, but it's pretty clear who's the killer, since this is such a popular franchise. But anyway, I won't spoil his looks because it did look kind of cheap, if you know what I mean. His look definitely did get better in the later franchise, as you probably are aware of. But from what I understand, they got his look from The Town That Dreaded Sundown, which is another horror movie made by Wes Craven. I think on the movie poster, it has the same type of outfit as Jason is wearing. Honestly, I think this outfit is a lot creepier than what he wore in some of the other films. But the other main cast, Paul, I thought he was pretty all right as a second protagonist. Some of these characters I did not like. So much as Scott and the girl he's trying to be perverted with. It's very it's hilarious, but it's also kind of annoying what he does to her. You can definitely tell they put all this in there just for the horny stuff and sex and not drugs, but sex, The kills were definitely kind of meh. There were a couple kills that were freaking amazing. One kill was a couple getting impaled in the bed together, like a double kill. Jason just impaled them together. I won't tell you who that couple was, but that definitely was an amazing kill. I did enjoy that, even though it was kind of trimmed down from what I saw from the unedited version. Then there's another kill involving a character, which was hilarious and very brutal at the same time. The ending to this film was definitely kind of a ripoff of the original Friday the 13th, and I actually hate this ending more than I do the original. It just totally confused me on like what happened to this certain character and what was real and what was not. It just that ending confused me, so that definitely did bring me down a little bit on this film. Other than that, this film was definitely a solid entry in the franchise. Would pick it over the original. I'd like to hear Michael's thoughts on it because me and him did have a nostalgic feel for the original, but I think we do agree that there were better films in the franchise than the original. I really want to hear his thoughts on this film and the ending and all the kills, because he did say the kills were kind of bland in his review, which I sort of agree with. I do like the arrow through the throat and a dude getting pinned to the door with arrows. But, and of course, Mrs. Voorhees' death, I do think that was pretty violent. But I would definitely like to see his thoughts on Part 2. Anyway, that has been my review on Friday the 13th Part 2. What is everyone's thoughts on it? This was a very solid entry. If I had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably give it about an 8. A little bit better, or actually better than the original, but I do think there are probably going to be some better ones in the franchise. So, this has been my review on Friday the 13th Part 2. Let me know down in the comment section down below what everyone's thoughts on it is. Thank you for watching. I will send a link to Michael's channel in the description below, as well as his video on the original Friday the 13th movie review. And thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. God bless, and have a good day. Bye, everyone.